My name is Ian Pasquini. I'm here with the Charlotte Museum of History, and we are still checking out the Cohen Famaro House. I'm here with Herb Cohen and Charlie Miller, and appreciate you guys being here with me. But now what I would like to do is really just listen to you guys rap about your experience in the house, the architecture and stuff like that, because it's just fascinating. You know, we're 60 years from when this house was built. This house was built in 1960. It is now the year 2020. And it seems like you still are kind of dealing with the same things in here. So, I guess just kind of as a good starting point, what's perhaps something that Charlie has changed in the house, or what's something that's changed that that you just took note of that you're interested in?
I noticed that, of course, we have a much larger kitchen, which is beautiful space.
Thank you.
And the bathrooms are, the master bath is much larger because you used part of the original kitchen space and to incorporate it into that area, which is terrific. And it's got the original skylights still there, which is nice, and the height remains. And the small other bathroom has been reconditioned and redone, and that looks just wonderful.
Thank you.
You've done a great job, and I appreciate your sensitivity to the space that exists in the house and what you've been able to do with it.
I appreciate you acknowledging that, absolutely.
I think Murray would be happy to see what you've done.
And I would be interested in how you made that decision to, kind of change the layout over there for the restroom and for the kitchen. How did you come to that one?
Sure. So the house is a designated historic local landmark, and there's a lot of information online available to read up on about the house, which was one of the things that inspired me to kind of come in and do this in the first place. But once I had the opportunity to walk through the space and see how it was laid out, I understood why it was originally designed the way it was, and built that way in 1960. But with the layout, it became clear to me that there was a way to reconfigure certain spaces to work with today's lifestyle, and to be able to do that without having to blow out an exterior wall or change the footprint. Really just kind of use the space that was there. So, the thing that kind of gave me the idea to move the kitchen into what was Jose's parents' living area in that section of the house outside of the bedroom was they had a kitchenette in there to begin with, right? So it just, looking at the space, there was a kitchen there, so why not create a larger kitchen, move one wall, and then you gain extra space for a bathroom at the same time. And really, it seemed pretty obvious to me. I actually was given Murray Wisnant's phone number before I kind of made the decision to do all that, and I spoke to him about it, and I won't say he was encouraging, but he did, he thought that it made sense. So with that, I felt like, all right, why not? And then the fine folks at the Historic Landmark Commission saw the plan, and everybody was on board, and it worked out. Yeah.
Definitely making changes in any historic household can be an issue. Just from a personal perspective, we have the Hezekiah Alexander home site at the Charlotte Museum of History. It's the oldest house in Mecklenburg County. It dates to 1774. It's a pretty long time ago, but things go wrong. Especially even that house is 250-ish years old at this point. So even now you have to deal with the Historic Landmarks Commission, and there's always questions like, oh, we have a leak in the roof, or how could we handle that and remain somewhat true to the form, maintain that kind of historic experience. You're kind of fortunate to be able to speak with the architect of your house, because the architect of the Alexander home site is not readily available to us to speak to.
Right.
No, I'm glad that you've got the roof problem completely at a point where it will work and you won't have any problems with it again. When it was designed, Murray Wisnant designed a certain amount of insulation in the ceiling of the house, and Duke Power said that since we were going to be all electric, that we'd have to have a different amount of insulation in the ceiling. Well, at that time, they told the contractor that. The contractor should have talked to Murray about it, and Murray would have redesigned the ceiling and the roof. But nothing was happening. What happened was that there was so much insulation that there was no airspace between the ceiling and the roof. And in the air-conditioned summertime, the cool air hit the ceiling, and the hot air hit the roof, caused condensation. And after 2 years, it was leaking right through the ceiling, and the roof was deteriorating. The beams were, and we had to have a new roof put on, and we ended up with an enormous hole in this living room area. And while the insurance company paid for the roof, it wouldn't pay for the ceiling. And so, and we didn't, at the time, couldn't afford to redo the ceiling, so we had a party where we invited all of our friends over, many different artists, and we supplied colored tissue papers and acrylics, and we did an entire ceiling of tissue papers and colors, and that's the way we lived until we decided to move. And when the house was being built, and when they put the walls up, these are ribbon striped Philippine mahogany walls, and they're in 4 by 8 foot panels. And I came in one evening, and they had all the walls, all the panels put up, and there's a variation. They had put the lightest one next to the darkest one, and the lightest one next to the darkest one, and it just didn't work. And so we asked them to remove all the paneling, and we spent a day with the workmen arranging the way the panels should go up on the wall so that it would be more harmonious, you know, and it would be more organized, and it wouldn't look like a checkerboard.
That is an interesting story about the wood paneling, because on this side of the house we had to take several sheets down to accomplish some of the wiring and things we needed to do.
Uh-huh.
And if you remember, the one wall that I had removed, it had the Philippine mahogany on that section as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we were very careful and intentional with taking those panels off before we removed the wall, and we were able to repurpose them on the other side of the kitchen now. So you still have the same feel of the Philippine mahogany kind of running all the way out through the living space of the house. So
That's great.
I was pretty happy to be able to have the extra boards there to be able to do that.
You know, you're coming back into this house after a pretty long time. You know, what memory, what image sticks out to you when you walk through these doors and you see the space again? What do you see when you come in here?
We lived in the house for 14 years, but the living room mostly was the favorite space, because this is where we sat with our friends. I think of the different conversations that we had, and all the wonderful people that were friends and visitors. That's what I think of when I come into the house.
All right, you walked in for the first time, you know, pretty recently, I guess. What did you see? You know, what stuck out to you, and what did you think was going to happen with this space?
Sure. So I have the benefit of being in real estate and home building and renovations and things like that. So I I can envision the finished product when I walked into this space and saw these original elements that were still existing and in reasonably good condition that just needed a little bit of elbow grease and TLC. It was obvious to me that this was once a very special place and could be that again for someone to live here. You walk into this space, it's going to be unlike probably any other home you've been in, at least in Charlotte.
And you might be interested to know how much the house cost to begin with.
Yeah. First run, 1960.
Of course, Murray did it for practically nothing, but the cost of building the actual house was $24,600. $24,600.
That's amazing.
You can't buy a car practically
Right.
for that amount of money.
I'm almost a little angry to hear that. Once again, I appreciate you guys having us here. Share your home with us and share your memories with us. And keep up the good work taking care of the place. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.